Okay guys, I meant to show you before I did it. I've unwrapped the bones. Those are the beef bones that I had. And I put them in the oven and roasted them for a little bit to give it a little extra flavor and it'll kind of caramelize. And I'm getting ready to put them in my big pot. And this is going to take several hours, so you want to cook that really slow. Anyway, I'll get everything put in the pot and then I'll show you what else I do. Okay guys, I've added, let's see if I can turn on the light here. Added my bones, beef bones into there, and there's about 2 gallons of water. And I may have to go get a bigger stock pot, but we'll see what I can do here. Then basically you just get any vegetables that you like, and you don't have to peel them, you don't have to. I did clean up my onions because these are from my garden last summer. I brought up the last bag, I think it was about 10 pounds. So of course I need to go through, and some of them they're starting to go bad, so I had to sort through. I chunked up some carrots, chunked up some celery, and I don't know, it's just me. You don't have to. A lot of people just throw the garlic in, the whole bud in, but I went ahead and got the biggest chunks off. I had also roasted some garlic a couple weeks ago, so I threw those in there. They're already in the water. I'm going to put those in, and I don't know. I've got peppercorns here. I don't measure, and so I'm not a very good person to get recipes from. But I've got my kosher salt and my peppercorns and some bay leaves. And I'll probably, I don't know, let's guess, maybe a couple tablespoons of peppercorns. I'm not going to put a whole lot of salt in because I'll add that later if I feel like it needs for the flavor. Maybe a tablespoon for now. And maybe 3, 4, 5 bay leaves, whatever comes out when I reach in there. But anyway, I'm going to put that all in and let it simmer. The reason you don't have to worry about your veggies and stuff is because they're just there for the flavor. You're going to pitch them when you're done. Here's an update on the bone broth. It's been simmering away. I had slow simmer all day. And yeah, you can see the fat on the top. But like I told you earlier, that will all be taken care of when I get ready. I'll do it at the end of the day, but I'm going to let this simmer and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, I'll give you an update on the bone broth. I needed to get it off of the stove. It's probably been simmering over 8 hours easily, maybe closer to 10. And some people simmer theirs a lot longer. But now what I'm doing is removing the vegetables and the bones. The big bones will probably go to my dog. And just to show you, got this big old thing. Get all of that out. You can see the vegetables. Something that I added after I got that all put together was some sweet potatoes. I found some sweet potatoes from last year that I've got quite a few that are still good, but these needed to be used up. So I added those in there. Anyway, I'm going to keep cleaning this all out. And then what I'm going to do is let it cool off because I'll be straining it a couple more times. And I'll show you from there. Just an update on the bone broth. And I'm getting ready to go down to the basement and get another can. Okay, we're on the 3rd day with the bone broth. I simmered it for essentially a day and a half. And then I pulled out the bones, most of the bones and most of the vegetables, but there's still quite a bit in there. But I wanted to get the fat layer off first before I started straining it. So it's been in refrigeration overnight, and what I'm doing now is removing this layer of fat off the top. Some people would save that and wash the fat, cook it down, and make tallow, but I've already got my tallow, so I don't need to do that. Anyway, I'm going to keep I didn't luck out on this one. Sometimes the whole slab will come up, and that's what I would prefer to do, but didn't work out. So I'm going to have to take this fat off piece by piece. And if you'll look, see that gelatin down in there? I'm going to put that back on the stove, get it heated up, back to a liquid state, and then I'll be straining this several times to make it just clear. From that gelatin is what I'm going to make the bouillon and the broth. Okay guys, let me show you what I did next with the bone broth. I put it on the stove before I got my canners going, and at least got it liquid, back to liquid. Then I took and got out, gross looking, huh? But it's the vegetables and pieces of fat and bone that I didn't get yesterday. And now what I'm going to do is run it through a strainer or a colander like this, and then I will run it through again in a smaller strainer to catch smaller pieces. Then I will put it back in refrigeration, let the fat on the top solidify and get that out, and I'll see where I'm at from that. But I like it pretty clear. Hey guys, I strained it twice. Strained it through the colander, strained it through a smaller one. All I've got is the fat on the top. So I'm going to put this back in refrigeration, and I don't know, if I'm lucky, maybe by tonight I'll be able to at least get the powdered bouillon started. Okay, this is my second pot that was refrigerated overnight. This is the bones, the fat, the cuttings. There's quite a bit of meat in this one. From yesterday, I have nothing in it. I just let the bones and all that simmer. And I'm going to take that fat off the top. My plans are to use the meat to feed my dog. And of course we'll discard all the other and get rid of that fat. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with the broth. I might actually use this as the bouillon. That other broth that I made with all the vegetables, wow, that stuff is good. I'm getting ready to start my bouillon and broth. And I wanted to show you what I started with. This one is the bone broth. As you can see, I've got most of the fat off of it, but I will take that off. And then this is the plain old broth, made with nothing but the bones and the cuttings from when I cut up those roasted steaks. And I'm going to remove that fat cap. I'll get something and show you how I do that. Okay, let's see, not going to come off in one piece, and there's really not very much in there. That's good. Can't really do this one-handed. And this one, actually, looking at it, might need to be strained some more. Got some of that yuck on the top. I'll take a look at it. I may not do anything with that one. I'm not sure yet. This is the bone broth. It's hot. I've got, my canner is hot now. I'm going to be doing hot canning today. Pressure canning, not hot water bath. I want to get that straight. This is pressure canning. So my jars are hot. I've washed and rinsed my jars, and they're setting in the hot water. So that's keeping them hot. My lids are hot. They're setting in hot water. You used to simmer them, but I guess not anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a jar and fill it with broth, put the lid on it just like I did with the meat. Okay, I've got 9 jars in the canner, just got them started, but I did want to clarify the reason that I'm doing the hot canning. I suppose I could have started with cold broth and cold jars. I just felt like maybe this might make it go a little faster as far as getting up to pressure. But the main thing is you don't want to use different temperatures. Let's say you had hot broth and you put them into cold jars, you could crack your jars. Same with if your canner water is simmering and you put cold jars with cold food, they could crack. So like yesterday and the day before when I did the beef and the hamburger, I did it all cold. I would dump out my water between batches in my canner and fill it up with cold water and start over. So it would all come to temperature and to pressure all at the same time. So anyway, I'm debating whether to get my second canner going now. I probably will. I think what I've decided to do is I'm going to can up the bone broth and keep it separate because that stuff's good. It tastes really good. You could drink that easily. And then the beef broth I'm going to leave plain. I'm not going to add salt or anything when I put it in the jars, and use it for cooking because we know there's always lots of recipes that call for beef broth and chicken broth, what have you. So another thing that I need to discuss on pressure canning. They also make pressure cookers. There is a difference. You can, okay, now this gets to be a tongue twister. You can cook in a pressure canner, but you cannot pressure can in a pressure cooker. I know that it's kind of hard to understand, but the pressure cookers don't keep the right pressure long enough. They come up to pressure and then they usually go right back down. They're for quick cooking stuff, and honest to goodness, I've never understood that because it takes, even the electric ones, 10, 15, 20 minutes to come up to pressure and then that long to come back down. So other than maybe cooking meat, I could see, but also I'm just old-fashioned. Stovetop is how I know. So one of the pressure cookers that I'm thinking of is the Instant Pot. I guess they're wonderful for everything. People love them, but you cannot pressure can in a pressure canner. Also, all meat products must be pressure canned, not water bath. There is a big difference. Pressure canning brings it up to a much higher temperature and keeps it there long enough to kill bacteria like botulism and stuff. And whereas water bath, you usually never water bath more than 15 minutes. Your food doesn't get that hot. The main thing is to get a good seal, and it's for high acid foods. So meats, vegetables, that kind of stuff, you always pressure can. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up the broth video. This is my bone broth, the one that I added the vegetables and all that to and let it simmer. Look at that beautiful color. And I'm going to tell you guys, that stuff is good. Good enough to drink, and I guess that's what bone broth is about, is drinking bone broth. It's supposed to be healthy for you. So just real quickly, I think these have been out of the, these have probably been out of the pressure canner for about 4 hours. And I'll do the same thing tomorrow with them. Everything that I get done today, I will take the rings off, double check the seals, wash the jars, label them, and put them in the basement. That's kind of funny. Beef broth that I did back in 17, so I usually write, if I use a Tattler lid, I write on the jar. If I use these lids, I write it on the top. But I did a quick seal check just a minute ago. So I got one that didn't seal, and that's okay. I don't think I'll have a problem using that up. I still have a canner that's coming down to pressure, and what's in the canner now and what I'm going to show you here in just a minute is the regular beef broth. I've decided to go ahead and can that up as well, because I'll use the beef broth for cooking and the bone broth for drinking bone broth and also for cooking. I know there's 4 pints of regular beef broth, and I don't run an empty canner. 4 pints of pinto beans in this one. And I'll swing over here. Boy, what a mess. And over here I've got 6 of the regular beef broth. And look at that beautiful golden color. It just amazes me. Very pretty, very pretty. But, and you know, you can't get much more organic than that. Homegrown, grass-fed beef. And I wasn't going to put any salt in it, and I thought, I think you have to have a little salt for preservative, so I put about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Yeah, all of those sealed. So anyway, I'm going to get this uploaded, and this is how I do my broth. Like I said, tomorrow morning it'll get the jars washed, seals double checked, and then they'll get labeled and put down in the pantry. Thanks for following me along. Thanks for following along with me, guys. It's been a kind of a fun little adventure. I'm working on a video on what to do if your jars don't seal. I'm making a pantry meal that we're actually having for supper tonight, so that may be tomorrow's video, because I don't think the bouillon is going to be done tomorrow the way it looks. Anyway, thanks guys. I sure appreciate you watching my boring life, what goes on. As you know, I'm not just well, I'm definitely not an RV channel. I'd love to be, but we haven't been able to travel as much as we wanted to. Kind of stuck here on the farm. But I definitely, it's busy, but it's just a mundane everyday life. So thanks for following along with me. I love your comments. Thank you so much.